Alright, hello everybody. This is my field experience portfolio. Like many of you, I am a secondary education and English major. So this is my experience in a 12th grade English classroom at Kennedy High School. Here are just the notices that we needed to provide. So my field experience notice, and then also my mandated reporter certificate. Unfortunately, I was one of those students that forgot to use the required time card for our field experiences, but I do have time-stamped notes here for you guys that demonstrates that I was present at the field observations, and these are also some notes from when me and my cooperating teacher collaborated on the lesson plan. Kennedy High School, like many CPS schools, follows the same permissions and consent protocol for recording students. So I just printed out the EdTPA form that we were provided for class, and I had everyone in the class take it home and then get it signed. Unfortunately, because of concerns of my cooperating teacher, anyone who didn't turn the form in, which was only 2 students, good thing, but anyone who turned the form in was not allowed to be on camera. Okay, so what we are watching here is the beginning of the lesson that I recorded. I started out by just introducing the class to the group activity that they would be participating in. This was vastly different from the usual way that class was constructed, because normally they would be working in group silent reading Beowulf. That was one of my motivations in getting them up out of their seats and actually engaging the texts. It's a bit difficult to see, but I have the objective on the board, and I was just explaining how the objective relates to the work that they would be doing with the groups. As you can see, there are a couple of examples of the posters up front. I have better pictures of those following the video, but I started by outlining the expectation of the group work. So as the students were watching what I was writing on the board, I used the example of a familiar character that they would know, which was SpongeBob, and I went through outlining how they would find an emotion, a connection, a characteristic, and a motivation of the character SpongeBob, much like they would have to do with the 4 characters from the text Beowulf that they were using for the group activity. Unfortunately, although I recorded a 29-minute lesson, I recorded the entire lesson and the students working, and it was awesome to watch, and I wish that I could show you guys. However, I ran into some technical difficulties, and I was only able to present you with the first about 3 or 4 minutes. So most of this is what you're looking at is me presenting the information to the students. But please do take my word for it that they were very engaged during the lesson. They sought questions and clarification. And as you're going to see with the student examples, they caught on fairly quickly with having the example on the board and just being able to inquire as I monitored and walked around the room and assessed how the groups were doing, what they were supposed to be doing on the posters. So unfortunately, yeah, we're not going to be able to see that, but I guess a sort of product of this explanation and this differentiation in their education or their daily lesson definitely motivated them to participate. Okay, so because I didn't have much of my lesson here to present to you guys, I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of how the lesson plan looked in the planning stage. It went fairly according to the lesson plan, fortunately. And here we have just a closer look at the board where the objective was written and the example was given to the students for the group project, I also gave them an example of how to cite the text, which was something that they didn't really go over or wasn't very relevant to them at that point. Yeah, so here are the student examples that I promised. These are all quotes that they found within their groups together for the different characters. And as you could see, the quotes are cited, which is awesome, and the students were able to understand the expectation that was given to them. So, needless to say, I'm very happy with how the lesson turned out and very proud of what the students were able to present. Personally, I'd have to say if I could do anything different with this lesson, it would most likely be maybe a little bit more time for clarification, because even though it wasn't available for you to watch, some students were a bit confused at the beginning of the activity, although that was cleared up later. And not only that, but also more time afterwards to maybe go over the posters and maybe assess the characters a bit better. Because while we had time to complete the group activity, there wasn't a lot of time to debrief the students on what this would mean for the characters and the expectation of their work going forward. Although my cooperating teacher did emphasize that these posters would be used in a cohesion with their oral exam. Still, I think it would have been beneficial to go over each character of the 4 characters that they had to do the group project for in a bit more length. And lastly, for some last-minute logistics, I have not received my cooperating teacher's feedback and comments yet, but those will definitely be shared once I do have them. And I also intend on doing what many of you are doing and sending a very thorough thank you note to my cooperating teacher, as well as a Starbucks gift card, because who doesn't love Starbucks? And just being able to have that introduction and starting to foster that relationship between being a student teacher and my future cooperating teacher is something that I'm very grateful for this entire observation experience and being able to teach the lesson, because at first it was definitely more daunting, and I think that the same could be said for all of us, that it was the process of planning and teaching a lesson and recording it seemed a lot more terrifying before I actually did it. And then when it happened, it was kind of like second nature. So yes, thank you for watching. Apologies for my lack of being able to give you guys more of my teaching video, but I'm sure technical difficulties aren't something new to you all. So again, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing your lesson plan portfolios.